Well, is there to be a new women judge president for the KwaZulu Natal High Court Division? The Judicial Services Commission is expected to advise the president that the time has come for the appointment of a woman in the role. Judge Thoba Poyo-Dlwati says she is ready to accept and has a clear vision for the powerful contribution she could make, including reopening the circuit courts and encouraging mediation over litigation. Legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala joins me now. Good evening to you and welcome. Judge Thoba Poyo-Dlwati seems like a woman on a mission. What's your impression of her?
Definitely. Firstly, good evening to you and also to your viewers. Maybe it's history in the making. In the first that she's going to be the first female to be the judge president of KZN. And also the ideas that she came up with when she was discussing, or she was during the interview, she's really serious about access to justice in two senses. The first one, how are the courts accessible to the ordinary man and woman in the street? Are there ways in which the court role can be faster? The introduction of 4IR, where we'll be able to argue matters while sitting at the comfort of our offices in order to decrease the cost that we usually pass over to our clients, is one of the pluses that, for me, certainly is going to stand out. So we are going to wait and see whether those particular wonderful interventions are going to come in, be implemented, and the beneficiaries can only be the citizens of KZN.
Yeah, I mean, she raised an important context in which the courts are operating there, talking about, the ratio of judges to the people that need to be served. One judge for 180,000 people here in Gauteng, in the Western Cape, one for 218,000 people. In KZN, that number is surmounting the 366,000 mark. So, that's quite a universe of challenge. But I found it interesting, Mpumelelo, that she said in response to questions about her age and experience that she's been a judge for almost a decade, and that appointments of male judges to leadership positions after serving on the bench for 2 years often came with no questions asked. So she's highlighting the hypocrisy in her view around who's deemed fit for promotions. And that gives some hint of the activist perspective that she is determined to take, doesn't it?
Definitely, and we certainly hope that's going to sort of resonate with aspirant judges. Just remember, you may have SABC, which is a school that is, then let's call it the training for aspirant judges. But at the end of the day, even if you go to SABC, at the end of the day, you can't be appointed as a judge if you haven't raked up a number of days and certain time when it comes to act as an acting judge. And that's certainly one of the questions in which you are asked to say, have you acted as a judge before? How many stints have you had? Whether it is civil or criminal procedures that you've been able, matters that you've been able to deal with. So at the end of the day, you can't act without an invitation. So I can't rock up tomorrow at the offices and say, I'm here, I'm availing myself, I want to be an acting judge for the next session. So it's going to be important to note, which is a very concern for most of us, of saying, make sure that the process of getting acting judges is a transparent one. There are clear guidelines as to how one is supposed to be an acting judge. And if the addition of acting judges is going to deal with the situation of the number of judges and the shortage of judges that we have in KZN, it is certainly going to help us at the end of the day. So it's a win-win situation, depends in whichever way you look at it.
But if you give the interviews, of the other competitors for the post, for lack of a better term, it's also going to give a hint about the environment should she, clinch this position that she'll be working with after her appointment. And you have the acting judge president right now, Isaac Madondo, basically saying, leave the experienced person at the helm. Let there be, stability. Don't put in somebody who's learning the ropes. What do you make of that?
I'd like to think that they're going to use their fighting mentality. As lawyers, we fight all the time in court, but at the end of the day, we are friends. So we only deal with the situation and the motive and the intention or the objective that you are faced with at a particular point in time. So I think they have turned the Rubicon in terms of the contestation that was there. They will wake up tomorrow, go to the office and make sure that they're able to deliver the justice and administration of justice that we need. We must look at the courts as the manufacturers of justice. And if there's a problem with our manufacturing factory, definitely there's going to be a problem with us trusting the courts as to how they're supposed to function. So at the end of the day, I'm glad to think that they have turned around the corner And when they go and wake up tomorrow to go to the actual court, they are going to make sure that they deliver justice to the people of South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, one certainly would hope and have no doubt about that. And of course, this happens under the scrutiny of those affected and, of course, the general populace. But I suppose, it must sting a little bit if it's someone you have mentored and he says, this has been part of his transformation project, one that he would like to see all the way to the end.
Well, all that we can say is that we are all good, but there are some individuals who are going to be better than others. And it matters on the day as to the elements which I looked at. I think for us as KZN and even for the JSC, it was about time that a female was supposed to be at the helm of the KZN division. It mattered a lot the number of years in which the person still has to implement their ideas when it comes to making sure that the administrative justice is done in a proper manner. So all those elements put together certainly put her in the preferential role.
Yeah.
The JSC is made up of a number of individuals, both politicians and non-politicians. And they're surely going to give out an answer at the end of the day, which is more or less will be able to serve both parties. But all that we need is that every decision which is taken must be in the best interest of how the administrative justice is supposed to be within that particular court.
Yeah, and well, let's talk about that objective around which a lot pivots. You mentioned some of them, bringing the way law is practiced and judgments are handed out in the legal system becomes more technical or more, kind of leans into the digital age. Some of the things I think that bear pause for thought are around the opening of things like a reopening of specialized family courts, second motion courts. I already spoke about mediation over litigation, but also on the engagement with colleagues around long reserved judgments. As you appraise all of these changes or reintroductions that she is seeking to make, what is the likely exponential impact of those to the delivery of justice in KZN and perhaps may have a contagion effect across other courts in the country?
The most important one is that it must be quick. At the end of the day, you go to court because you have a certain problem that you want to be solved. If you are going to wait for a very long time before you get an answer, it puts a span when it comes to certainty. There are also financial constraints that are there. And if the manner or the processes which are used within the court is much more easier, for example, like your virtual sittings, then the costs are going to be lower. And all those savings are then passed on to the clients themselves. Yes, you may find legal practitioners who are going to say our budget may be hit at the end of the day. However, the utmost interest and the legal interest that we seek to protect is that of the clients. So if they're going to have quicker results in terms of quicker orders being made, quicker manner of being able to present their cases within those particular court sittings, then definitely they're going to benefit at the end of the day. Now, I think it also poses a second question of saying, do we really understand, or does the JSC understand what it means when we say that we must have access to justice? Let's break it down into the various components so that it's clear. When a person goes and applies for a certain position, even as an ordinary judge, it is easier for one to say, how are we going to help to improve access to justice, both by cost saving, time saving, and making sure that you are taking decisions which are prudent and in line with the law at all times.
Yeah. So three were in the running. We've already spoken about Acting Judge President Isaac Madondo. We've now spoken about Judge Poyo-Dlwati. And then, of course, there's Judge Esther Sophia Steyn, who were in that shortlisted interview for the position. So what flows from here on out in Mpumelelo?
They're going to go back to the various positions. I think on Monday, or once the president has confirmed, then you'll have Judge Poyo-Dlwati as the judge president of KZN. Judge Madondo will still be the deputy judge president. Judge Steyn will still occupy her role. And she's one of the most senior civil judges which are available within that particular division. But I do predict maybe when the position comes vacant in about a year's time, when Judge Madondo retires, then I think she'll also be in the running. She'll be the most qualified, having been to the interviews, having know exactly what those particular commissioners are looking for. I think if she reapplies, then she'll be in a better position of making sure that she's able to occupy that particular position. But as they say, it is business as usual, and the most important thing is executing your duties as in line with the Constitution and the law as far as possible.
Yeah, but talk to us again, just a final one on, both the psychological and the transformational significance of having a woman in that position.
Firstly, it is a legal requirement. If you look at your constitution, it says that whenever a person of the JSC is considering appointing someone, they must appoint someone who is fit and proper, who is a woman or a man, but most importantly, they must then resemble the demographics of South Africa, or the manner in which the South African demographics are then entailed. So I must be able to go to court and say, this is a person who's one of my kind, this is a person that I can be able to relate to and I can deal with issues as far as they come. Added to that is the question of your education levels and your skills that you've acquired since you became a judge, and then your innovativeness of saying what extra things are going to come and add in this particular division to make sure that it's able to work optimally. I think that's the cherry on top. That's the real issues in which the JSC then looks at in terms of deciding who's going to be the JP at the end of the day.
Mpumelelo, as always, thank you very much for your insight and analysis. We appreciate it. Legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala.